Nenthead, on the Cumberland-Durham border, although one of the highest villages in the country, it attracts few visitors. Nestling in the northern Pennines, it's easily passed by people driving between Allendale, across Stanhope to Alston, and perhaps the Lake District. But for almost 200 years, this was a hive of activity in the quest for the elusive lead ore. The main street of Overdale, which once echoed to the clatter of scores of miners' boots on the way up to the mines. And this old yard here was called Horse View at the time because of the stables which once stood there. The hostelry of the Crown Inn, where many a thirsty miner and non-miner alike must have slaked his thirst, and the Bainbridge Memorial, erected by the Bainbridge family, who gave the village a pump in recognition of the amount of lead that they got out of the ground. The London Lead Company, a Quaker family, built things such as the reading room to get some form of education to the miners, and the innocuous-looking bus garage that was once the crushing and sorting mill built during the last war to go over the old miners' waste tips as better ways of extracting the zinc was found. But it was in the rugged hills round about that the lead was first found by individuals from the Middle Ages or before, and mined on smaller scales until the London Lead Company came into the scene in about 1797. They built the first really successful smelting mills using new technology of the period, with new open hearths and roasting furnaces, and large washing floors to separate the muck from the ore. And to this day, some of the signs of their activities can be found. A walk out of the village puts us on the right track.
Yeah. See you later, you.
Not far up the Nent Valley we come to the mine of Cattle Club. Although now largely flooded by water, it can still be explored by wetsuit-clad visitors. The great mine of Ramp Gill is passed on the left of the River Nent, its yawning portal a reminder of days of yore. Although the area is now largely grassed over, it was once a different scene, when it was worked by men such as these, who hacked and chopped their way through solid rock to reach the lead veins. Yes, it was a hard life, dressed up in your ex-Sunday best and a flannelette shirt, working in and around the mines, in probably mostly rain and snow, with the odd bit of sun thrown in. A walk further up the valley, past the manager's house, brings us to the old London lead smelter.
Rather tumble down foundation. A lot of the stone has been taken by local people for building. Zinc was extracted in later years, wasn't smelted here. It was shipped off by the company.
Where the coal was stored for the smelter.
The old stone houses and various outbuildings are now mostly ruined, but nevertheless they make fascinating viewing as one rummages around in the rubble. The Count House has just been renovated by the Tourist Board as a visitor centre, which is a good sign perhaps for the future. The Nenthead region formed a major centre of lead mining in northern England, rivalled only by the Beaumont concerns in West Allendale and at Allen Heads. The success at Nenthead was due to the compact nature of the mineralisation and to the ease of access from adits, such that restrictive and expensive shafts were less necessary. Also of importance was a controlling influence of the commissioners of Greenwich Hospital. The commissioners allowed competition between the various mining concerns in the area and did not impose restrictive conditions on the mineral leases. We've now arrived at the entrance to Smallclough Mine. In the 18th and 19th centuries it was one of the major mines of the area, and vast quantities of lead were removed from it. And when it left the mine it was called Bouse and was washed over running water in a great washing floor right here. This is what it looked like 100 years ago. Some interesting pieces can still be found.
This is the zinc ore sphalerite. Now in the old days the London Lead Company, and prior to that it was the lead thereafter. This was just thrown on the tips because they didn't have a method of extracting it. Well, when the London Lead Company gave up in this area and the Vale Montagna Zinc Company took over about 100 years ago, they were more interested in the zinc. They were mining for both the zinc and the lead, and in the last war the ministry came and reworked a lot of these tips and extracted thousands of tons of zinc from what had previously been waste material.
A look at one of the old mining plans such as this, covering the period of the London Lead Company 1797 to 1886 and the Veal Montan Zinc Company 1896 to 1920, shows below ground a virtual rabbit warren of passages. Some hacked and blasted through solid rock took years to reach their destination and for little reward. Some were rich in lead and were very profitable. We will take a trip down Small Clough along the initial main horse level to its junction with the Small Clough cross vein, then along the hard crosscut into the incline flats area, then through the Small Clough flats to the wheel flats and into the Middle Clough first sun vein, which leads eventually to Gypsum Corner and the Ballroom Flats.
Yeah. Sorry, no, sorry. On main. When you're back. See you then, Terry.
See you then.
Yeah, Terry. Tell him to stoke the fire up when he gets back. Stoke the fire up.
Okay. Once inside the mine, the extent and size of the old horse levels can be seen. This, the main level, follows a sinuous course in the lower part of the coal sills for some 150 metres to intersect the hard crosscut. All the way up this level, the water laps very close to the tops of your Wellingtons as one slashes along. When the mine was working, there would be rails in the floor, although some of them can still be felt under the water now, and the passage would have echoed to the jangling of harnesses, the rumbling of tubs and the clip-clopping of horses. To anyone that's never been in a mine, or probably the first time into a level like this, the sight of water on the floor, various depths, can put a new dimension onto the exploration of these mines, as it seems to take on an eerie quality as it echoes and slaps up against the side of the walls, and sometimes you don't really know what to expect of it. We are now in the hard crosscut, most of which is a pleasant walk after the 2-foot deep water of the main horse level. The hard crosscut links the main horse level with the main flats or workings and is some 250 metres long.
do.
Right. Wait here.
It's 20 watt.
How many watts is that lamp then? Less than one?
One.
About one?
About, I don't know how many watts a kettle lamp is.
There is a bit of a crawl. We'll go for the window.
In fact, you can switch that light on in that passage there.
Right. When I get up?
Yeah, well now.
Right.
Great. Lovely.
Do you want this light on?
No, no. You're looking good, Greg.
Bye-bye. Does it record voices as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So start swearing, you'll be all right.
£12.
It's good through there.
The main passageway, just before the inclined flats, is a magnificent arched tunnel, a testimony to the men that built them. The stone was brought from Flinty Fell above Nenthead and brought into the mines, and there's no mortar in the joints either. All along this section, towards the main small club flats, several arched passages are passed through, all of them probably 100 or 200 years old, and still supporting tons of rubble.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's one of the old ducks, isn't it?
Yeah, the old hopper. Or hopper.
Chip, have a chip. You need, there's enough of us without you.
Yeah.
Well, this side wall's been plastered up with lime. You see the break in it now where somebody's dug into it. And this has been to control the airflow so the air doesn't leak away into the deads. Often you find it done with just bits of turf in between the deads, but here they've actually rendered it.
Right. Carry on, Coop. That's excellent news.
No.
See the deads? The stacking of the deads. These are the miners used to stack the deads, aren't they?
That's right. Very often when you're going through one of these narrow wall passages, you might think, oh, they've just lined the shale passage with stone. In fact, it's probably a flat, 50 foot wide, 20 foot high.
Really?
Built the arch so that they can backfill it totally with deads, save carrying the stuff out.
It actually goes back a fair amount then.
Yeah.
And of course you've got the old rails on the floor.
Yeah. Here it's not actually arched because there's not sufficient height to be worth filling above.
What's that, John, again?
I say just here it's not actually arched because there's enough height for you to, there's not enough height for them to fill above it arching, so they've not bothered arching. There's work.
Oh.
This bloke's wife wearing her bloody stilettos. She put a stiletto straight through the flesh and broke into 3 feet. Yeah. I forgot it was there, you know. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
If he, well, he's got a lot of rail now, but if he knows that there's going to be some, or likely to be some, yes. I think he's got over 100 different rails now, sections.
And they're all different?
All different, yeah. Some really primitive. I think the most primitive is found in Ireland.
You can't imagine that, can you?
Collecting railway lines.
No, there actually being 100 different...
Well, each little area would do its own. You know, the local blacksmith. Well, with a lot of them, there'd be some national that produce one or whole area produce others. A lot of those you see in here are the little cast iron ones. I've lost them.
The other side. This is how I filmed that.
So this is what, this John here?
That is gully back crosscut, which goes across to the main horse level, the way we come out. And you used to be able to do a through trip through a bit of an iffy dig. And that's collapsed now, that dig.
Has it?
So you can't do a through trip now. You do it from either end, but you can't get through.
Oh. So we have to go over the top, and not obviously.
Well, we've always gone over the top,
Yeah.
our route through the flats to ball.
Are you going to... In it? Yeah, these are the big arch tunnels, aren't they? That's one of the hoppers, isn't it?
Small pass.
They only finished it and made it habitable last year. Before that, it was in caravan.
Wow. Yeah. This is the dividing of the tunnels, isn't it?
Nice bit of masonry.
This what?
A nice bit of masonry.
So that's where they actually split the tunnels, isn't it?
Yeah, that left-hand branch, it's collapsed after a few yards.
Goes to the edge of the flat,
Yeah. You can.
What were you saying, Jim?
Somebody's just mounted them, haven't they?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been times when they've been set up like that, and other times they've been off them, you know. Some vandal-minded person pushed them off.
So this is wheel flats?
Yeah, that's the wheel, yeah.
Aptly named.
It's not, I don't think it's its original name though.
No.
I think,
Oh, no, I think
years
that's
ago the flats were called something else.
In fact, there's an incline goes up there to a higher level, a bit like incline flats,
Yeah,
well,
it's
not
double-
as extensive.
Double decker flat there.
Yeah, it comes back above us.
Yeah, I've been up there with Lepo.
I've collected the lamprite.
Yeah, that's right, there is quite a bit
Big
actually.
pocket at the end.
Yeah.
One of the few places in Smallclough where we've actually found fluorite.
Yeah, on that wall. I don't think many people got along that top flat here, because it was pretty undisturbed.
Fire them up, yeah. Oh, that's better.
At the end of wheel flats, the comfortable chamber leads into Hetherington's crawl, a doddle for the small or a back-breaking exercise for the tall. One goes through here to reach the middle clough first sun vein, not without interest.
Hetherington's crawl. You think it's aptly named? Hey?
Right, bastards.
Great youth. Marvellous. You aren't even crawling, Darren.
Ladders are
Oh, yeah.
completely ratty.
That's what you're looking for in there, John?
It's cubic epimorphs after fluorite in sphalerite. If I get a piece, I'll show you. I've got one or two little bits out already, but well, after a bit bigger piece,
Both arms round, so you're hugging it. Like,
I've got a 4 foot length of wire here with a hook on the end, trying to get it.
Yeah.
It's about 6 foot in, you see.
techniques.
Years ago, I brought a 4 foot chisel down and loosened a lot of it at the back and fetched a lot out with a wire.
Along there,
Yeah.
you know, so as you can, because
Get the rung on the...
yeah, up to your,
Yeah, up to the
up to
heel.
there or in there.
Wow, that looks good with that backlight.
Quite a thrust back then, he is.
It is, yes. It's the famous Hetherington's crawl.
Yeah.
Aptly named.
I reckon Hetherington was about 2'6".
Well, that's a relief.
This is ochre.
Yes, like Jim says, it's a relief to stand upright again and come into a beautifully decorated area at the junction of the middle clough first sun vein, with gold-like deposits everywhere. It's one of my favourite passages in Small Clough, as it's well decorated for much of its length on its way to the main horse level. Think of the old miner walking down here with his candle stuck on his head. They had to stick some of them on the walls of the passages with clay when they were hacking out passages like this.
Yeah, that's a bit further.
Onwards,
Eh?
clean props holding the ceiling up here.
Yeah, they're the old stem pulls on. Shine your light on them, youth. Yeah, they're the old stem pulls that the miners put in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right.
On the vein there.
Are we?
We're actually on a mineral vein here. Yeah.
Are we?
Sorry?
We're on a mineral vein.
Yes.
What's this red? Is it iron? Or?
Decomposing iron minerals. Yeah. There's probably a lot of pyrite that's breaking down.
I'll tell you what, there's not much breaking down to on the end of that timber there either.
Well, this one.
No, the one that you just passed. The one over the roof up.
Oh.
That's one of the old props, isn't it?
Yeah. But all the walls gone from round that one there.
Oh, look, there's some old stalls up here.
Hold what?
Stalls.
What are they?
Well, timbers across the vein, which is supporting planks with stacked deads on top.
Oh yeah.
When you come up to here, and look up, you'll see it.
Right.
Up here.
Up the ochre wall.
Straight up, almost vertical.
Oh yes, you can see them. Are they're stacked deads on top of there?
On top. It's just the old. They're called stalls.
You just see the rocks stacked on them if you
Yeah.
look between the timbers on the end.
It's
You
a big
see,
rift.
The miner would have stood on those when they were working, using it as a platform.
That looks to me as that goes up. bet there's 100 foot up there.
I bet there is. It walked too fast, Jim.
Are you looking up the vein as well, or?
No, I'm not straight in front of you, but just keep the light straight in front of you, youth.
There's the old scaffolds, look.
Oh, that's another of the stem poles.
Working platforms. You're going
Hey?
up there, are you? On a bit
Yeah.
slippy still.
All right, I've got you.
To the left here.
Yeah.
So what, when you want next ballroom,
Yeah.
or to the left down, your arm down. First left.
Some good examples of drills there, look.
Is they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're the drill tubes, aren't they?
2 in there.
Right, you. Carry on.
We're now just past the junction with Gypsum Corner. This passage is the Small Clough cross vein and leads eventually to the ballroom flats. Before we get there, however, there is an interesting passage on the right called Elliott's String, which leads to the hydraulic shaft. But there's some distance to go to it yet.
Right, try down the tunnel now. Okay, right. What have we got here? Anything interesting? No?
Nothing much yet.
Just a bug.
Yeah.
It's still like, no?
Yeah, sure. The trouble is when you're filming, you can't see me putting your feet.
Well, sometimes you hear the box racking, I don't know where it's you gone over, or just the box ticking there.
There's a box cranking up. Oh, this is very interesting. This is a collapsed part of the tunnel, isn't it?
Well, it's a hopper. It's actually a hopper way and just some shales.
Shine your light on Steve, can you? Right. It's what?
It's a hopper way. This shale's run down from above. When you get up to it, you'll see it's an old box hole.
Oh, yeah.
The old hopperways were used for tipping rock, lead ore and anything else between levels, and were usually tipped into trucks on the horse levels, though of course the wood is quite rotten now after perhaps 100 years.
Yeah?
Great.
We're on with, yeah.
Yeah, switch it on, youth.
He's on.
Right.
What's recent stuff here?
It's what?
The chippings.
So you want to get that piece?
Well, I was trying to get that piece up there, yeah.
Yeah, below it.
Yeah.
And where does this go, John, again?
That goes to the hydraulic shaft, so called because there's a water pipe goes down it. Purpose not particularly known. In fact, there's yeah, that drops the water into some workings which run off hydraulic shaft about 40 foot down the shaft. Hydraulic shaft should go down into cars level, but it's blocked at about 60 feet.
So this is just
Just down into workings.
Just
which
down
run
into
off
workings.
hydraulic shaft. Now there's the wooden box on top of the pipe, which I presume presume those launders fed water into it. They came round into this box.
Yeah.
Then the water went down. The pipe's got a bend on it here, and it takes it over to the shaft.
Right.
Drops it down the shaft, but for what purpose? You know, to generate air or what? I don't know.
So this is the hydraulic shaft still down here then? Well, there's the hydraulic pipe. It shines on that hydraulic pipe. No, down there, look.
Oh, they're down here.
That's the hydraulic pipe.
Okay.
Fantastic use. The hydraulic shaft,
It's a
John,
so-called
now.
hydraulic shaft because of the water pipe going down it. I say whether the pipe was to generate air or for what purpose, I don't know.
Didn't it generate the pressure for the hydraulic system? That actually, the hydraulic system generated air for the drills, didn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And it was all... And that was the head of water, something that was actually down the shaft, wasn't it?
Yeah, although that was done mainly over at Brewery Shaft and on a much bigger scale than this.
It wouldn't go
I
into
see.
pressure off that, would it?
No. I mean,
All right. Flush it down it then. Can you shine it down to the bottom?
A lively discussion ensued on the purpose and destination of the hydraulic shaft, which has been thought for conjecture for years in certain quarters. I wonder if the hydraulic shaft was prepared for the whirlwind that was to follow us, intent on finding out.
Is this okay, Bulge?
Actually, if I'm going, I'll take your camera with me.
Oh yeah, he's going to be down there all bloody day. I think you'll see it. Always remember it's F8 at a fortnight. That's the standard exposure. F8, highly bright.
Is that, I'd like to be close to the top, I think.
who's down and below?
Jake? Yeah? Make yourself seen.
Where are you?
Come here, you ugly bastard. What you like to do, fucking throw myself down?
Can you dig about 20 foot out so
Yes, I would stand on that rail if you want. If you hang on a minute, Bob, still somebody's down there.
Yeah, somebody come.
Somebody's going back down to dig.
Oh, great! It's
Ugly face there. That's great for some of those gynecological experiments. I'm a plumber, but actually I'm a gynecologist. Just, you know, go moving. Hey, no, you look really
Who's on the
professional.
black road?
Thompson's foot at the
Nobody.
moment. We're doing some
Can you
filming
pick
at
it
the
up?
moment.
Just take the slack out of it.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I want you to support this rail gently while we push it across the shaft. So check the weight now. Right, up a bit, about 6 inches. Hold it there. Give a bit.
Give it a bit.
Up a bit.
Up.
Up.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So they get back at night time, we can't find it.
Right.
I'll tell you what I
That's
use.
the absolute toilet roll.
I'll tell you what I use.
Slack off a bit.
Slack.
Yeah.
Down.
Right. Up again.
Oh, is it jammed?
We want it to be jammed. Get that in.
Smoke gets in your eye.
Right, when you're ready, Nige.
Okay. Right. Down when you're ready.
Put slack on the black now, Chegg.
An explorer goes underground.
right. Okay.
Slack, Pat. Give me more slack there, Pat.
Huh?
You have some more slack.
I thought you said you wanted easy.
Hey? Yeah. I thought it was a poking at the hole.
We'll leave the whirlwind behind us and proceed through Chegg's temporary leak caused when he dammed the water which normally cascades down the shaft and head for the ballroom flats. We'll return later to see how they're getting on. We're now in the ballroom flats. Usually it takes anything between half an hour and an hour to reach here at a steady pace. The ballroom flats were so called because they actually had a ball here, dancing and all that. They brought food down and tables and chairs, and the women were brought in down in the horse-drawn trucks. This was in the mid-1800s, when vast quantities of lead were found here, so they threw this amazing party. A quick walk round reveals the proportions of the chamber, one of the biggest in the mines. But the object of some visitors is crystal collecting. John Cooper inspects a few holes before the onslaught of the chisel men.
What colours on it? Chalcopyrite on anchorite, possibly quartz. It's hard to tell underground.
Oh, right.
Knocking rock. Synchronisation and all. Dead lamp.
So this is all the swag, is it, you?
That's it.
Shades and look at the great crack with the axe in his hand halfway through the tree when the gamekeeper turned up. Is it you that's been chopping these trees down? Nicholson? No, it's not me.
I've just found the axe. It's a nice piece, you.
It's a bit like a boulder, really, isn't it?
Don't put it in the bag.
I'll put it in the bag. It's in the bag. That's your lot, you know, you're not having any more.
You found out, Darren?
Anything, things like follow.
Spellerite, eh? Well-earned rest and a fag, Jim.
Take a picture in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh dear, I'll scratch my head down and
Finally.
There was only a small pocket like that when Darren found it, and he's opened it up and got several nice pieces of salarite out. This is a smaller piece that I've got out later on.
These yours, John?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
That's quite interesting. That looks very glittery, Steve.
Yeah.
Right, I'll wrap and go. That about fills my 2 boxes.
Is it? Old Iron Man, eh? Old chisel. Tools of the trade, Coop.
Right, that's it. Wrappers.
Excellent, that. And that's sphalerite, is it?
The black is sphalerite, it's sitting on quartz.
Sphalerite on core.
That's it, yeah. And the sphalerite's the main thing they're after in the later stages of working. As the earlier lead miners had left it as waste, they couldn't extract it.
No, that's right. And it was later
When the Ville Montagne Zinc Company, the Belgian company, took the mines over from the London Lead Company, although they were taking the lead out, they were more interested in the zinc.
Not all passages or the proportions of the horse levels or the ballroom flats. This is a collapsed section of the Cars Cross vein leading into workings on the Longclough vein.
Apparently. Thanks, Jonathan. You can start following me, Terry.
Action.
Yeah, you're right. The actual thing is...
Bit of a bugger, wasn't it?
Yeah,
eh?
yeah.
Oh.
Which way round you come down?
On your back, youth, I would say.
At first.
At first.
At first.
You can see how we progress further from the ballroom flats here, back up to Gypsum Corner, and then along the Middleclough second sun vein, which is this passage here, which is easy walking, down to the Cars Cross vein, which is where the low passages are. And after those passages it goes out into larger areas of flats as one carries on down the vein. looking at an overall picture of the mine, we're in that area here, and the entrance is over here. All this area here was opened up by exploration and digging over the years. So we'll go back to Chegg and his men who are in the hydraulic shaft, which is this area, and the hydraulic shaft is this little spot just here. We'll see if they made the breakthrough. See what they found, if out.
Be dry. You're in Lake Chegg now, you?
Pardon?
You're in Lake Chegg.
Yeah, they've got through.
Have they?
Yeah, and it doesn't drop into cars, it drops into ramp gel.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'll go down and have a look. Hey? So, have you broke through then, Chegg?
Yeah,
Have you?
I've just been into Ramp Gill, thank you very much.
How far did you have to dig through the hole, through the blockage?
Oh, we took about 3 foot off and then I was sitting on the rest and it fell fucking 80 foot. Left me hanging in mid-air on the lifeline.
Really? Was it just on the platform then?
Well, can you see?
It was the top staging
See
of
them
the
timbers there?
Which timbers is that,
In
Chegg?
the middle of the shaft?
Where the rat is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, there was a wooden platform across that,
Oh, I see.
okay? And there was 4 foot of muck on it. And we dug the muck off and there was about 18 inches left and I was sitting on it, digging away.
Yeah?
And the whole fucking lot just fell down the shaft and left me hanging.
Sorry, hang on.
Good job you were tired,
Stop!
wasn't it?
Sorry, chap, I can't hear.
Climbing down.
Okay.
Yeah, you're staying next to the lifelines.
Oh, sorry, all right.
Girl,
Don't read down here now.
Mine is a bugger. Mine is a bugger. Probably get more. What do you teach in Nottingham?
Oh, the bookings.
Yes. So we'll take 2 out and leave it 2 on and then that's just right.
What school's that?
We'll split it here.
Yeah, it's just.
You give me a bit more slack, Mac. Hang on then. How's that?
We're going down slow because Bolger wants to do some filming on the way out.
I want to do them archways.
You know, there's some ritual killings and things. That's all the rage now, isn't it?
What, underground?
Yeah.
That's been banned. Let's have some of that ritual killing.
Go on, bloody starving now.
Masochistic thing where the nail pricks the planks.
Oh, yeah, that's fucking great, weren't it? Sandpaper in the balls.
What was this? Well, they've rather appealed against
This
it,
one
haven't
that
they?
they've just been
Appeal.
appealing against.
Yeah, they've lost the appeal, haven't they?
I had the whole case. I might still have it at home somewhere. About half a page that I took out of the paper.
Yeah?
Yeah, they were nailing the balls to boards and they were nailing the pricks to boards and sandpapering the balls.
You heard of Gonad wrestling?
It didn't say what grade though.
No, that's right. That's right.
I'd say M2.
Might hurt if you get the wrong grade.
Yeah, I'd say it'd have to be M2.
Sharpness prick it to a sharp one. You heard of Gonad wrestling?
No.
That's good. 2 blokes stand behind, one behind each other.
Yeah, you might have had
Is she back?
Yeah, mine's back.
Do you want to come straight up now, Nige?
No, he's got his cameras here.
All right. Cameras? Plural? Are you there now? I think of myself more as a sex object.
Right. Slack.
Do you reckon?
Hang on.
Women go for me.
Okay.
Right, so
With knitting needles.
You get some light on the job.
Get a few pints of it down me.
okay.
Okay, climb when you're ready.
Right.
And I go home and eat this for it up and eat it. And, next morning I'm feeling stuff out of my arse. So we've told Jack about Angus having gone his way. And he didn't know whether to believe
believer, so he said, I'll test him. He tells him and this fellow, this joke, at the same time. He said, you're right, there's a flicker there.
I'm sorry, Jake. You might have to fall off the ladder now. You're talking to your courage, Jake. Right, you? All right, Jake? Yeah. Calm.
The joke crap in the contact.
Yeah.
Text of his telling.
Bit of slack. Right, you? That's it.
Yeah. Cheers. Oh, fucking hard.
Yeah. That was when you all the boulder fell down, was it?
I don't know what fucking... I think I might have grabbed hold of the... I don't know, when the floor collapsed.
We started pulling you upwards, you see, when it went.
I don't know. Sugar plum fairy.
Is that Jake? Wow, can I touch you?
I got a good newspaper put it out of last Friday's free paper in Nottingham, one of the free papers.
Turn it off? Oh. Yeah. You put it back on again? Yeah.
About Hucknall bloke who
Fucking let the dam off.
he'd been done
Who did that?
I did.
He was
Interesting,
up
that.
for court for burglary and stealing women's underwear from
Hang on.
houses and
Slack.
stuff.
Climb when you're ready! Robin! Okay! Yeah.
Safety fires that platform, and the whole fucking lot of people take the rubble just disappear.
Yeah. It sounded like it's impressive, not here. What's it, 11-8, are you? Yeah, no, it's on the floor then, by next to the... No, by me. Oh, right.
That's really,
Wow, that's right. Well, part of a good day?
You're not allowed to wait for the head, and you can burn in
Hey, Paul.
Yep.
Who's slack? Yeah, slack. You just take off and then just drop the line like that. Yeah. Nice. If you want to take off that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, oh, that's the meaning way. I know what it's like.
Sorry?
We'll have a look at some of the pretty minerals and other features on the way out.
Like yellow. Fantastic colour. These colours, is this iron age on this red stuff?
Yeah, it's all iron.
And that's, what's the red stuff there, John?
Well, it's iron staining. The white is probably gypsum. There might be other things in it. Hydrozincite. And then the pyrite decay is releasing iron oxide, which is staining it red or yellow.
Right, you.
Right, here's the gypsum selenite. Crystals up to about 1 inch long. That's developed while the mine's been here. 200, 300 years they've taken to develop. Much faster than most minerals, and under ordinary room temperature, or the fairly cool mine temperature conditions, because gypsum's one of the more soluble minerals in water. It leaches out of the shales above and comes through the limestone, and there it is, crystallising on the limestone, and even in fact up above on the arching, which is obviously artificial, man-made.
Yes, lying at the junction of the Middle Clough first and second sun vein, gypsum corners, worth a look round and a photograph or two, trying to discover these nice archways.
These little arrowhead ones, they go under the French name fer de lance, which I suppose means iron spears.
Right.
years they've developed in that time. Some of the crystals well over an inch long.
And some of them are very nice, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just well developed.
Horizontal slicken sides, these grooves where the faults moved horizontally. Sometimes they're vertical, where the earth movement's been up one side or down the other.
And so it's real shiny, isn't it? What, you point a shiny pot out, down to your left somewhere, there.
Yeah, yes, quite smooth, shiny, and quite often it's got mineral on it, and the mineral's been polished, the lead or whatever. Oh, this is on the blink.
This is a good example of the slipping and slicken sides there, isn't it?
Yeah, oh
It's
yeah,
very
that's
shiny.
movement on the fault, probably 100 million years ago, who knows
Really?
how long ago.
And that's the stuff that used to explode, isn't it, when the miners used to pick
Yeah,
it?
yeah, sometimes with so much tension in it, stored up, it'd explode.
We've had a good look round the environs of Small Clough now and poked our noses into numerous holes, so we'll leave the underground mazes behind and make our way out of the horse levels back to Nenthead.
That arch there.
Interesting, the gap between the two arches here. The arch is running the other way, so I can put an ore hopper in into the flat above. Turf between the rocks to help control airflow, stop the air leaking away.
Railway lines.
Yep.
The rail been taken out there.
Yeah, people take them to climb up and so on. Yeah. Probably fairly late stage working. They're quite long, regular looking lines. That was probably late 19th century. Well made shoes.
Another mine of interest in this area is Brownlee Hills, which lies just outside Nenthead, about a quarter of a mile off the road to Alston. This was mined extensively for lead and later on for zinc as well. Also, it has some extremely well decorated passages and brickwork covered with white calcite deposits. This was a visit to Maypole Shaft into an unexplored area. You can make a trip to the isolated Willope Shaft, which lies on open moorland to the north of the village and was sunk over 400 foot to intersect the high raise vein, interlinking the system to Brownlee Hills and other mines close by. Or a look at the Firestone level, but this is a dodgy place with bad air and rotten stopes. Take a drive over the hill to Weardale, and there you can visit the restored buildings of Killoot Mine with its famous wheel, which was used to drive crushing machinery and drag along trucks of lead ore in the yard. It was the powerhouse of the mine. There's a nice little base for explorations in Nenthead, this cottage. Although basic, it's got all the amenities. You don't want the Ritz when you're exploring mines. And as John Cooper will tell you with a smile on his face, it's next to the pub. So what you waiting for? Next time you're up in the area, don't just drive idly past, stop and have a look round. You might be surprised.
Give my feet to the footloose, careless, fancy free. Give my knees to the needy, don't pull that stuff on me. Hand me down my walking cane, it's a sin to tell a lie. Set my mouth way down south and kiss my ass goodbye. But please don't bury me down in that cold ground. No, I don't have them cut me up and pass me all around. Throw my brain in a hurricane and the blind can have my eyes. And the deaf can take both of my ears if they don't mind the size.
I promise I'll not be too long. I promise I'll not be too long. I promise I'll not be too long.